I don't know what role to climb with. I'm good on mid lane. I'm good on jungle. Guys, today's profile review is going to be of a new player to League of Legends who is having an identity crisis. They don't know whether to play mid or jungle. And honestly, they've got good win rates on both. So if you're in this similar situation, watch this profile review because in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to be breaking down everything this player needs to do to one, decide if they should play mid or jungle, two, how to play both roles at the same time while still climbing to their goal rank of gold, as well as three, all the key priority areas they need to focus on, whether they're a jungler or a mid laner, to make sure they can get to their goal rank of gold. Before we get into the profile review, however, if you're interested in getting your profile reviewed by me, please check out the link in the YouTube description below. It's completely free. Sign up and you will get your very own just like this, as well as if you're interested in the paid coaching solution that I talk about towards the end of this video, where it's a monthly coaching plan similar like a personal trainer at the gym, but for League of Legends. Please as well book a free call with me in the YouTube description below. Let's get into the profile review. Hey Sergey, my name is Dylan from lolcoach.academy and I'll be doing the profile review of your account today. So thank you for signing up and let's get into it. So currently you are in bronze-ish elo, probably iron bronze, because you're still, I believe, finishing your placements and you want to get to gold 1. So basically in the next 10-15 minutes I'm going to be breaking down everything you need to do as a player to go from bronze/iron to your goal rank of gold. And before we get into that, I just want to look at the biggest issue holding you back. So you're saying making greedy plays while ahead and losing the game, having high kills but also high deaths. So that really comes down to, and I'll address this problem because it's probably a real big issue that can be quite easily solved, but that really comes down to you just not understanding your champion's limitations enough and not understanding your champion's strengths, weaknesses, and how they synergize with each other. So the big three things I'm going to be talking about in this profile review, and these are the big three things you need to focus on to go from bronze/iron to your goal rank of gold, is your champion pool, the role you're playing, the role you're maining, so are you playing mid, are you playing jungle, your relatively high death count, your kill participation, and then your CS per minute. So the first one, I can see last season you played a bit of Kiana, you played a bit of Pyke, you played a bit of Poppy, you've played like a good range of champions. And it looks like this was your first season, or at least your first season on this account. So it makes sense that you actually played multiple roles and you're just trying to figure out the game. So I think that's really good. And honestly, if this is your first season and you finished in Bronze 1, that's actually a really good achievement. And you should be really proud of that. However, given it's season 2 and you've got your second season, I should say, it's season 13, but given it's your second season, I really think now this is when you should start honing in on picking one role, sticking to it, and choosing at least 1 to 2 champions to main. Now, this all again comes back to your goal rank of gold, because how you're playing right now, you're not going to be able to get to gold this season doing it. You might get to gold doing this strategy maybe in 2 or 3 seasons, but if we're doing what you're doing currently right now, which is like one game you're playing Graves, one game you're playing Yone, then Kiana, then we go to Echo, then we go to Shyvana, then we go to Kindred, what's happening here is all these champions have very different play styles. And so it's like getting in a different car every time you go for a race. Like let's say you're a race car driver and you're jumping in a new car every time you race. Yeah, sure, the racetrack is the same and the enemies or the opposition are similar, but you're driving and controlling a completely different vehicle or champion or piloting it. So when we're mixing jungle one game into mid lane, into an assassin, into a scaling hyper carry, into an AP jungler, back into like a Shyvana that can be like a tank jungler, you're mixing up all these identities and you're just lacking a lot of consistency in your gameplay. And particularly for new players, and particularly when they want to climb to high ranks, you need to have consistency and repeatability in your gameplay. And the biggest 2 factors that prevent repeatability in gameplay is playing multiple roles and playing a large champion pool. So for you, Sergey, you're in a unique position where it seems like you could either go mid or jungle, but you're at a crossroads right now. And what I would say, particularly if you want to get to gold this season, if you don't want to get to gold this season, you can keep mixing between mid and jungle. But if you do want to get gold this season, I would recommend picking one of these roles and sticking with it for the rest of the season. So whether it's mid or jungle, you've got great win rates on both. I can see your Kiana win rates 54% over 90 games, 64% in your last 14. I can see Echo has a really good win rate. Even your Kindred has a really good win rate. If I was you personally and like, you know, you had a gun to my head and you're like, you have to play jungle or mid for the next 6 to 12 months, I would say go jungle. Because one, I think you can have sometimes more impact on the game as a jungler. But two, it also looks like your statistics are a little bit better on your jungle champions compared to your mid lane. So that's the biggest thing. And honestly, once you make that commitment and you decide on 1 to 2 champions in that role, you're going to find yourself climbing in the next 50, 100, 150, 200 games. So that's the biggest thing that's holding you back from climbing right now, Sergey, is choosing a role and then choosing a champion pool. So let's go into your champion pool briefly. I've already talked about it, but again, if I was doing mid lane, if you were going to become a mid laner, I think you could one trick either Kiana or Yone looking at your win rates on these champions. Ideally, you'd just want to one trick one of them, and then you have the other one as a backup if it gets banned or, if it gets picked. Then, so, basically playing 80 to 90% of your games on Kiana and then playing 10% on Yone. Or if you want to go down the jungle route, what I recommend is either your Graves, your Kindred, even your Echo. Sorry, not your Graves. Sorry, I would say your Echo, your Kindred, or your Shyvana. One of those three, you should be one-tricking 90% of the time, and then choose one of the last two to play the 10% when you get banned out or it gets picked by the opposition. And that's going to be really your key to climbing. That is the blueprint for most players in your situation to climb out of bronze, to climb out of silver, and eventually get to gold, is simply maintaining a consistent role and champion pool. And honestly, every player can get to gold, I truly believe, playing one champion. They've just got to pick that champion, find the champion that they enjoy the most, and stay with it. Now, if you're thinking, oh, well, that's a great idea, but I still want to learn the game. Like, I still want to play mid lane, or I still want to learn new champions. That's okay. What I'm going to introduce you next is the 2 ranked account strategy. So the 2 ranked account strategy is not a new concept. I didn't make it up, Sergey. But basically what it is you have one account for climbing and you have one account for learning, and you split your rank games between these. It could be a 50-50 split depending how much time you want to put towards climbing, how much time you want to put towards learning. It could be a 90-10, 90% of the time you're climbing, 10% of the time you're learning new champions. It's really up to you and how quickly you want to get to gold. Obviously, the more time you put onto your climbing account, the faster you're going to get to gold, but you need a strategy for that account. So for the main account for climbing, it is you only play one role and you 1 or 2 trick that role. So for example, you only play jungle on your main account and you only play Echo for 90% of your games, and then you play Shyvana when it's banned, or you need AD on your team or something like that. Or vice versa with Kindred. You play Echo and Kindred. Echo 90% of the time unless it's banned, unless it's picked, or unless your team's got too much AP, then you just go Kindred. And then on your second account, you can play your Yone, you can play your Kiana, you can learn Graves in the jungle, you can learn Shyvana, you can learn something else. You can do whatever you want on that second account because you're not affecting your main account's ability to climb to gold. And what a lot of players get mixed up is they do everything on one account. They try and learn, they try and climb, and League of Legends matchmake, like the MMR system, the ELO system, the way you climb in League, it's not designed to do that. It's really hard to climb in League of Legends when you're trying to learn champions at the same time. Not many players can do it, especially when it's like your it's your second season. Not many players can actually climb while learning new champions, and it's almost impossible if you're at your true rank. The only way generally players, so like 99% of players can climb, is when they're 1-tricking, 2-tricking, or playing a really small champion pool. So those are the biggest things that you need to figure out. If you can master those 3 concepts, so pick one role, pick a small champion pool, and split your rank games between a main account and a Smurf account for climbing and learning, you're going to get really far with that. Now, the next 2 things I want to focus on before wrapping up this profile view is 1, your deaths. So to be honest, you're averaging 6 deaths in your last 60 games, which is actually really good, and your win rate's really good. So you're probably going, well, Dylan, I'm playing all these champions and I've got a 70% win rate. Why would I stop that? And I would say, well, technically you don't have to until this goes below 55%. But if you're looking for a long-term climbing strategy, this way of playing League of Legends is eventually going to get less and less effective as you climb higher and higher and you start versing better and better players, because they're going to be one-tricking, two-tricking. They're going to be having champions that they main. They're going to have been playing one role for multiple seasons, and they're just going to have more mastery, more knowledge, and therefore beat the player who's new to the game, who has a champion ocean instead of a champion pool. And eventually this win rate's going to go down below 60%, below 50%, and all of a sudden you're going to be like 49% win rate, and you're going to be hard stuck. And that's what we don't want to do. So that's why that's so important. Now, what I'd say is your deaths are okay right now. 6 deaths per game over 60 games is actually pretty decent. What I would just say is you got to watch that and make sure it doesn't get much higher than 6 deaths a game. Particularly on some champions, I can just see here as an example, not the best examples, but I can see your death rate on Yone as an individual champion, 6.9, Kiana is 7. These are a little bit too high. So you really need to monitor why you're dying so much. And again, it comes back to champion mastery. The more games you get on a champion, the more you're going to understand, okay, this is what I can do and not die. This is, if I do this, I'm going to die. And you get to understand your limitations, and therefore you die less. Now, the last thing, and again, this is quite a good point, so these are one of your strengths, is your kill participation. So right now, you actually have a really good kill participation, and what I would recommend for a jungler, if you're focusing on playing jungle for the rest of this season, is aiming for a 50 to 55% kill participation rate, and then if you're playing mid lane, aiming for a 45 to 50% kill participation. Now, Sergey, honestly, congratulations, man. This is your first season playing League. You already got to Bronze 1, and now your goals are gold. If you can follow what I've basically outlined for you as a blueprint to climb to gold, you'll be able to get there. Now, if you're interested in accelerating this journey, or you're looking for a mentor to help get you through all the hurdles stopping you or preventing you from going from Bronze 1 to Silver 4 to Silver 3 to Silver 2 to Silver 1 to Gold 4, etc., and beyond, what I recommend for you is getting or looking more into, I have a service called a monthly ranked climbing plan. And basically what it is think of it like a personal trainer, but instead of for the gym, it's for League of Legends. And basically, instead of strengthening your muscles, we're strengthening your champion pool, we're focusing on your weaknesses, and we're building all your weak muscles up so that you get a really good, well-rounded body, or a really good, well-rounded champion identity on the champions you're focusing on. And basically, we knock down hurdles every step of the way. So we're focusing on 1 month, Bronze 1 to Silver 4. The next month, Silver 4 to Silver 3. And we break down your goal of getting to gold into manageable, actionable steps. And we go through with game reviews, with stat tracking and goal setting, month by month, everything that's holding you back and getting you to that next step, that next step, that next step. So we're always taking a step forward through consistent, good, sustainable League of Legends climbing practices. So if you're interested in learning more about that, Sergey, once you've watched this, please reach out to me on Discord. We can book a call. That is a paid coaching solution, but I'll run you through it for free. I'll show you exactly how it's personalized to you, and then you can make a decision on whether or not you're interested in that. Anyway, mate, cheers. Good luck on the Rift. Thank you for submitting your profile, and I hope to talk to you soon once you've watched this. Oh, yeah, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube.